Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Hewkii and Flammeus show. Today's guest was Lucia Desimone, and we had great fun talking about all kinds of topics, mainly related to spirituality and music, as is our wont on this show. Lucia is in the middle of recording and releasing a an album all about healing the different chakras, where each song is dedicated to one chakra. She's released the first of these songs. It's called "No Me Without You." We talked about that a little bit, and you want to butt in, Hughes?
Yeah, I mean, we went into, music as kind of a tool for healing and emotional resolution. And then we also went into travels, and, she's traveled her whole life and has a lot of interesting insights to share from that. So yeah, it was a fun conversation. We
Yeah, we
went,
covered topics of identity and all kinds of fun stuff, and ego and spiritual top dogism, as as we've done a couple times before, and
it's a
loads
fun one.
other stuff besides.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if you know this, Helgi, but I did. So me and Lucia connected on Instagram a while back, just through the music, and I did what's called GIM sessions, which are these music-led therapy sessions with her mom, Cynthia. So I just wanted to take a second to say hello, Cynthia, if you are listening,
Uh,
and I hope you're having a wonderful time wherever you are. And without further ado, welcome to the show, Lucia. So nice to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, wonder where should we start? Um, how about the album that you're working on currently and the song that you
Uh,
just released?
All right. So the album that I'm working on, which I'm still working on the last two songs, it's 9 songs in total, and it's one song for every chakra. So basically, it takes you like on a whole journey to heal every single chakra until you release kind of like all that's stuck in there. But then at the same time, it's very pop and modern. So then you don't know that you're healing at the same time that you're doing it because it has like a sound bowl in the back. Like you can't really hear it, but then you're healing. And this song that I released first is the heart chakra. So that's Know Me Without You. So it's all about like problems with heartbreak and things like that. And then it helps you open a little bit that. And I wanted to start with that because they always say like lead with your heart. So then I had a dream where I was like, oh wait, which one should I release? Like I was like literally in my dream dreaming like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. I need to release something. And then I got this message like lead with your heart. And then that's when I decided. I was like, okay, that's gonna be the first song that I released, and it's actually the first song I recorded. So it all matched perfectly, and it's the first song that I fully had recorded and ready to go. So then that's how it started. But it's been a long journey. So I don't know if you want me to talk about the whole thing.
Well, maybe I mean, for the people listening who don't know you, where did you start? Where did you get into music? How did that
Mhm.
whole thing kind of, and everybody go check out Know Me Without You. Uh, it's an excellent song.
Thank you. So, when did it start? I feel like I started with music, like loving music since literally like since I was born, like since I was 1 or 2 years old, I started talking and kind of singing. Like I was in love with music, like always. And I remember my mom told me a story that I would hide like behind the curtains and make up like my own show when I was like 3 years old. And I would like hide and come out and be like, hello. And like, I don't know. I started like performing like when I was like 3 for my parents. And then I started studying. I think like my first music classes were when I was like, yeah, around that age, like maybe 4 years old. my mom was very attentive and like she really cared about expressing our feelings and our emotions. And she noticed that I was very expressive and I wanted to be, you know, more, yeah, share my voice. And yeah, she noticed that instantly. And then she signed me up for the first classes, which was just like playing the triangle. That's what I did for like the first 3 years.
It's the best
Um,
instrument.
Yeah.
yeah.
Alejandro
Shred the
appreciate it.
triangle.
Yeah.
I was the master of playing the triangle. And then after that, I started taking classes. This was in Italy. So I was born in Argentina and I moved to Italy when I was 2. And then at 6 years old, I started more with piano. So it was like more like classical music, more like the more structure, like more like the Italian way of like you have to do each step in one after the other, which was really great to learn like most like music theory and things like that that I didn't know before. And that was up until I was 13 when I was like, oh, maybe I would like to sing and accompany myself also with the piano and singing. So then I started to take um, just singing lessons. And after that, I moved to the US, which was another like crazy experience. But in the US, which was actually pretty cool, is that they let you choose like some extracurricular activities in high school. And that's when I decided I love music and I want to do more of it. So I was already taking singing classes and piano classes and everything like on the side by myself. But there I could choose to also do music as an extra activity. And I chose choir, which I did, I think, for 3 years or something like that. And I loved it. And that's when I got into loving also harmonies and all the different type of layers for like voice. And that's when I was like, oh, I love this. I want to do more of this. And just like hearing everyone singing like different notes at the same time just drove me like my mind was like blown. I was like, oh my God, this feels like so good for my soul. Like, I don't know, I just love it so much. And yeah, and I think that's what drove me ultimately to apply to Berkeley College of Music in Boston. And my parents were actually at that time deciding to move back to Argentina after so many years not being in Argentina. And I
Oh, that
was
was
like, okay,
straight
I'm just
from the
gonna,
US.
yeah, straight from the US.
Mm.
So straight after living in Texas, because I moved to Texas. So after that, they were like, okay, let's move back to Argentina. And I just applied to one music school, and that was Berkeley. And I was like, well, if this goes well, I'll stay in the US. And if it doesn't, I'll just move to Argentina or move to Italy and do some music there or somewhere else. And that's when I got in.
Yeah, that's
And
wild.
I
It's
went
the only
and I
one you
went to
applied for. I didn't know.
yeah, the only one. Like I was like, it's this or nothing. So I just applied to that. And I wanted to go to Berkeley also because it was kind of different than anything that I had done before because all the classes that I took before were more like yeah, a lot of music theory and very like classical. Like it was nothing like jazz or alternative or pop or anything like that. And I saw that Berkeley was really good for jazz. So that's when I was like, okay, yeah, I think that's more my vibe. I want to go more with this and just try to see different ways to do music. And I saw that they had a major in songwriting. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like something for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was just gonna, what came up for me was to ask if you were doing some jazz courses over there or if it was mostly focused on kind of songwriting aspect of it or pop music or what was it? What did it look like
Yeah.
at Berkeley? I did
Um,
consider applying for it once as well.
Really? Well, I think you can do a major in jazz composition and things like that more specifically. Since I chose more like songwriting, I think the first year actually it's the year where you get to decide which kind of major you want to go with. And the first year, it's kind of like a little bit of everything. So we had jazz classes, a lot of ear training, and still a lot of music theory because it's still important to kind of go into that more and to get out of it and do your own thing as well. Um, so it was, yeah, still a lot of jazz classes, but I guess not as much as if you would do just like a major in jazz. But for me, it was more, I chose more classes with composition. So I would write like a new song every week. I don't know, the teacher would be like, write a song about this. And then we had to come up with a song in a few days and just turn it in. And basically everyone would judge your song in front of the class, which was very scary at the beginning because I was like writing maybe about something. I don't know, at the time it seemed like, oh my God, like my first breakup, or like I was putting my heart out there and like everyone would just like judge every lyric. I would be like, maybe you shouldn't write about this or you should do that. Which,
I think this
yeah,
is kind of a hilarious concept if you think about it. Like it always, I always found it so funny, like the music contests, for example, because for me, music is just completely subjective, and like what somebody else thinks about your music is doesn't really matter. So it's always
yeah,
hilarious to me when we set things up in this way of like, it's almost like some kind of a sport or a contest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah. And at the end, it is like that. At the end, I think I learned through all this judgment and different like people thinking different things that ultimately what matter the most, it's how I perceive the song.
Right.
And yeah, and I think just putting myself out there and getting like those, like that critical feedback and being like, maybe I will take this or maybe I can just leave it and just, like it's good to get that feedback from other musicians that are steady and are like professors, but at the same time, it's also building um that kind of way to judge yourself, like
Right.
the song itself.
Yeah, yeah, you're touching on a very important thing is that, it's useful to hear other perspectives, but if you put too much weight on other perspectives, that's when you lose track of how you actually feel about the music. And it took me a long while not to internalize what other people think and to understand, okay, yes, you offered me a different way to look at this, but that's not gospel. I'm still just going to use that as another perspective to reflect on what I think about the music.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
and perhaps just gives you a little bit of thick skin as well to put yourself out there as well, and teaches you not to freak out when somebody says something that's slightly negative about something you
Hmm.
created.
Right.
Recognizing that like it goes both ways. If somebody praises your song or if somebody says something negative about your song, you can take it or leave it either way. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even in some cases, though, in Musiktilraunir, our annual battle of the bands for the youth,
in
sometimes you
in
see some
Iceland.
reviews from the judges, like, damn, they're just like tearing into these kids. Like there was nothing remotely musically interesting about this entire song. Like, damn it, what was it? If I was like a young teen receiving this kind, like that may have stayed with me for a while.
Dude, he's 13.
Yeah,
Calm down.
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway,
His first song ever.
Yeah. You
yeah.
suck. Yeah.
Basically, that's at times that's how it goes, and I think that's
But that sounds
not
like
helpful.
great songwriting training you did there at Berkeley.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was challenging because sometimes I think what was great about it, it's sometimes, you don't really feel like writing and it kind of forces you to. It's like, okay, yeah, I have to turn in this song and it kind of forces you to find the inspiration, even if you are just like, I don't really feel like doing anything about songwriting right now. So that was good because yeah, it got me out of my comfort zone and it got me to write more, even songs that were so bad, like just to
Yeah.
turn them in. It's like, okay, at least I turned in something and at least I was productive about it and I'm still learning. And yeah, I guess they got me to write a lot more than I was writing before.
like Ed Sheeran talks about turning on the faucet. Like you just gotta turn on. You just gotta let the gunk and the gross, disgusting stuff come out of there for a while, and then it's gonna be water. After that, you just gotta start writing a bunch
That's
of
a
songs.
hard one. Yeah, I'm right
Yeah.
now finishing one of the last songs of my album. And like there's a song I've been working on for such a long time, and I'm like it's gotten to the point where it's like physically painful to work on it, but I really want it to be done. So I had to yesterday I was just like forcing myself to it's my collaboration with Dane Curley, who's been on the podcast. And but after a while then you get past that point, but it's like it can be really hard to do. It's like mentally and yeah, for me almost physically painful at that point of like I really don't want to work on music and specifically this song.
Yeah.
But once you get past that block, it usually there's, as you say, it's water that comes through.
Yeah, it's nobody else is gonna do it. You
Yeah.
Yeah.
gotta sit down and get it done.
Mm. Sometimes it's easier when somebody else is telling you to do it. Like when it's
Yeah.
that pressure on yourself and like you have to do it, it's like
Yeah.
I don't know. But if someone else is telling you like you have to turn the song in like a week, like I don't know, it's like easier, which I mean, it's good to do it for yourself as to train yourself to do it also for yourself and not just
Yeah.
for someone else.
Yeah, I've struggled with this specific thing of like sometimes I've wanted to take the approach of I only write and work on music when I really feel like it. So in a sense, I'm never forcing myself. And I've gone through periods where I've just done that. I've just worked on music, and sometimes there's been many months between me making anything. Um, and I think that's one approach to take. Um,
Hmm.
but I'm also more now with time seeing the value of sometimes just pushing through that block, whatever it is. But I noticed that when I do more of that, I create a little bit of a different relationship with creativity. Like it's um, you know, when it's just spontaneous and I'm just doing it when I really want to do it and it's just completely enforced, it feels like just um, you know, play essentially. But when I'm pushing myself a little more, it crosses more into, it's work.
Mm.
Um,
Mhm.
so
And it is, I suppose it is work technically,
yes, there is
I
the
mean,
work component to it and there is the play component to it. And I think it's probably about kind of walking or surfing that line.
Mm.
Um, because I think if you're too much in the work aspect of that equation, you probably burn out or lose your joy for making music when it just becomes work. But when it's just play, you're not really serious about it. Or
yeah, I think if you do, like if you're, depends on the mindset you approach it with the discipline, if you're forcing yourself to do something when you don't really have the energy for it, then you're gonna burn out. But if you're just skillfully and in a disciplined way using all the energy that you have to put into it, then I think you don't.
Mm.
Um, it's like, yeah, for me at least, I found that burning out on a project is usually about the mindset I have towards the work as I'm doing it. If
Mhm.
I'm sitting down and I'm thinking, "Oh God, I don't feel like doing this. I don't feel like doing this. What am I doing with my time?" But I just gotta power through, like, then obviously it's gonna suck, and the work's gonna be worse for it. Um, but if I'm able to step away from it, perhaps in that exact moment, and take a breath and just center myself again, then work. I am of the firm belief that work can always be playful. It
Yeah.
can always be.
I mean, Alan Watts has some really good takes on this specific thing. I think it's called Work as Play. I recommend checking that out. He's kind of collapsing the boundary that we have created between work and play, and like showing examples of like when you're doing the dishes that you can turn it into a dance, uh,
Yeah.
and stuff like this.
Or
That
when you're mixing on your DAW, you can turn it into, I don't know. It's
oh
gonna sound.
yeah, it's a
Imagine
bit
your
of a
fingers
game.
dancing on the trackpad.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit like that.
Spreading the magic. Anyway, yeah, you went to Berkeley, and that sounds like that was a great like injection of what shall we say, songwriting skills and probably a lot of other stuff for you always. But what are your main takeaways
Mm.
from Berkeley, actually? I think a lot of people would be
Mm.
interested to hear that because that
Or maybe we
school
can
has a
just
big
start by
reputation.
because there are some people that may not be music nerds that don't even know what Berkeley is.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Well,
True. So I'll say that it's Berkeley College of Music. So it's music college in Boston in the US. And
It-
basically they offer a lot of courses. And I decided to do a whole degree. But they do offer like smaller amounts of times, like you can study for 1 year, 2 years. And I think they do offer like an online career as well. And if I'm not wrong, they do have another, like not just in Boston, but in New York, but I'm not 100% sure. I think so.
I think they even have a campus in Valencia, actually, in
Yeah,
Spain.
and yeah, campus in Valencia, that's true. Um, but yeah, I think in New York as well. They were making it as when I was there, and then I just don't know what happened. Um, and yeah, and basically I studied, you can decide to study different things, music wise. And one of them is songwriting. And I did a minor in production, which you can also add. I think you can have two majors and a minor or something like that. I'm like probably saying this wrong because there's like a lot of combinations and things you can do.
Yeah, I've never
Uh,
really understood the American education system at that stage. I
yeah, honestly, I studied there and I still don't understand.
don't.
Um, but yeah, I chose to do a minor in production, which was also super cool. And I did a lot of like stacking of harmonies and using like Logic and Pro Tools, which are different DAWs that you can use to record yourself.
And that's
Um,
something that you've been using uh, after graduation, right? That kind of vocal production, layering
yeah,
yourself.
I love layers of like vocal harmonies.
yes.
I love
Mutual
You,
them.
fan of layers.
yes, you do.
Not just
You like
vocally, like
layers.
that it's one of my favorite aspects of music. Like the music that I like the most is like really like deeply layered music to the degree of like I'm listening to a song for the 100th time. I'm like, wait, I didn't notice this layer and this
Yeah.
layer.
We're talking, me and Helgi did a collaboration, and Helgi put in put in like a, I'm not gonna tell him what it is exactly, but it's a bit of a spoiler. I feel a bit bad for sharing this now, but
No, go for it.
yeah,
If you
okay.
don't, the real ones will find it.
So there's a track we did together that's coming out on this upcoming album of Helgi's, and Hewkii is such a layered musician. He recorded himself saying something, and made it play backwards at a certain part in the song. And I think like super duper slowly or something. You explained it to me. I don't remember.
It's quite subtle.
It's yeah, it's quite subtle is probably putting it mildly. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, and if you listen
I love
backwards,
that.
you can find the subliminal messages. But but I think like when you do
That's so cool.
a lot of small things like this, it adds up and it really feels like the whole song is alive. And I do a lot of this stuff. I bring in nature sounds in certain parts. I do different sounds for the left and right ear, and I switch them around. And it's yeah, I like to really make the tapestry rich, but then there's also the counterbalance of sometimes less is more, and sometimes more is more. Um, so it's kind of context dependent as well.
Yeah, I struggle with that in my album because I wanted to stack so many like
Oh, yeah,
layers of harmonies everywhere. And
yeah.
then I
I
think
bet.
it was my producer for one of the songs that was like, I don't think this one needs harmonies. Like, I think this one is okay with that. And
Yeah,
I'm so
it's a
happy he
skill.
said that. Yeah, yeah, it's a skill to recognize. But it's also sometimes you need those other ears to tell
Oh,
you,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
maybe it doesn't fit so well here. And because maybe you're listening to your song so many times that you kind of lose track of what sounds good and what sounds wrong.
Yeah,
And it's
you're too
just,
close to the process. And what we said earlier, like getting other perspectives in is very helpful
Mhm.
because people have fresh ears, or actually people have different ears and different brains, so they actually hear things differently from you as well. So it's
Yeah, because you're a trained music producer. You're going like, oh, the high frequencies are a bit cut, over here, and it's like a
right,
casual listener just like, oh, yeah, this is nice. This is yeah, guess.
right. Yeah, and
Yeah.
even beyond that, it's like every single human being hears things differently, which is why we have different tastes. Um,
Mm.
so it's yeah, it's always valuable to get an outside perspective, and
Yeah,
it's kind
on
of
anything. That's
yeah,
transferable to anything in life. Whatever you're doing, get a second opinion. It's probably going to be helpful. It's not going to be unhelpful, at least.
yeah.
Um, unless
Unless
you're
you
the kind of
attach too
person,
much weight
right?
to the other perspectives.
Exactly. Unless you
Uh,
start second guessing yourself too hard.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
But I actually wanted to go back a little bit because you spoke earlier about the fact that you kind of were always drawn to music and you were doing music since you were 2 years old. And I resonate with this because I was the same. And
Mm.
for me, it was very
Me
much the
too.
case of
Hey.
a music kids. Um, it was very much the case of like this was a language that I understood much more so than uh, everyday human interactions, which seemed just very complicated. Um, Music just made sense, and
Mm.
just remember looking at a keyboard as a 4-year-old and just intuitively knowing how to make music with this thing. Um, so yeah, I'm just curious to dive a little bit into the kind of music as a language, and especially when you encounter it at a very young age, and how that uh, has kind of played a part in your growth as a human being, or how you relate with music and other people.
Mm.
Great question.
Yeah. All right, where do I start? Yeah, I feel like I've always been kind of introverted and I felt so much like, and maybe I didn't know how to express all that I was feeling. So I just felt so deeply about everything. Like I was very empathetic, like, but I just didn't know how to express it, like verbally, I guess, or just communicate it like that. So then I feel like growing up having like thank God I had a piano in my house. Like I always like had it there. And when I felt like I don't know, like something was too much to process, I would just go to the piano and, just try to understand it that way. And over the years that has translated to like music being very healing for me in every type of way. Like I just, but it's more complicated, I guess, the feelings and things that we feel as we grow up. Like maybe like when I was young, it's just like me not being able to play because I had to eat dinner. I don't know, something like that. And then I would write a song about it. It's like I hate my mom because I can't. And now it's like more like I don't know, like I feel something and I just go into the room and I write it down and I can process it well. Instead of it being in my mind and playing it on a loop, I can just write it down and that way it heals me and I can kind of go through that emotion and give it meaning, and then just move it out and process it so it doesn't get stuck in my body or it doesn't, just grow and then it can never get out. So I guess that's how it's been like my biggest companion over the years. Like it has just helped me, get it out. And I feel like there's so many ways that you can get those emotions out. Like you can be a dancer and just express it that way, or you can be a really great like tennis player and then you get all your anger out like playing tennis or doing things like that. I think just for me, like since I feel like music found me, and that's the way that I've been kind of,
The wand
just
chooses you.
yeah, just found me, and I would just resonated with it so much, and I'm just so grateful to music for being in my life, and it's always gonna be in my life. I feel like I'm an artist, and um, yeah, and music. I don't know if I'm answering your question or not,
No,
but
totally, and I think you're really kind of putting your finger on something very important is that I mean, a lot of people conceive of music more so as entertainment or performance, or you have to do music to perform on stage, or my dog is going crazy. I don't know if you can hear him, but
We can.
yeah, he interrupted my train of thought. Yeah, um, and you're putting your finger on music essentially more as a tool for emotional processing. Um,
Mm.
and I think that's an important thing for people to understand is that it's not just about becoming some kind of a famous performer or necessarily even releasing music. Uh, because like yourself, music for me is like when I go to the guitar, it's almost like therapy. It's a tool for me to work through whatever I'm feeling. Um,
Mm.
Yeah, I super duper relate with that as well. I used to, like, my big thing when I was 14, 15, 16 was just to pick up a guitar. And usually, like, a lot of the times I'd be playing somebody else's songs as well. And I think you hit on something important as well when you said that you were a very sensitive kid. I think that's a
yeah,
commonality between most artists in any kind of art, actually, in performance art or in music or in painting or whatever it may be. It's always some kind of outlet for just this huge capacity for feeling emotions. And I think people like us really feel quite confused looking out at the world and seeing all these grown-ups who just don't feel the same depth of emotion. Like apparently, it's hard to tell. It's hard to figure differently, when you look out at the world and you're feeling stuff so deeply, and everybody else is just kind of shrugging it off. Um, and that's why I think, like, partially it's so important for people like us to kind of stick together a little bit to be like, okay, no, I've I've been there too. It's
I feel
okay.
you.
You're not. It feels so good to be validated in that way because, like, most of the world, at least in my perception, maybe I'm being overly
Mm.
pessimistic, but most of the world is more like, okay, all right, now stop crying and get up. All right, you're gonna be okay.
yep.
Um, but yeah, it's a confusing place to grow up in for people like us. This crazy world.
One sec, I'm just gonna let my dog out of the room
Oh,
so he stops crying on us. Yeah.
yeah. I was gonna talk about, as you'd mentioned, about the tennis players as well, or
Yeah.
like letting it out through sports. I don't think I've gone out for a run. Like I've been running a lot more as well recently.
Hmm.
We'll just keep this uncut. I've been running a lot more recently and following a rigorous training routine, and I want to be able to run 50 kilometers in March, and I'm gonna be doing that in March. And
Nice.
so I've
Cool.
been
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
not to brag or anything. Just been I've just been running a lot more, and as a sensitive person, running even can be an outlet for my emotions. And because I've been running a lot more, I've been running these longer tours. Pretty much every single time I cry at one point or another as I'm running, and it's
Oh
been
yeah,
such
I
a
relate to
and
this,
I have to laugh at myself every
I
time.
love that.
especially to music. Some of my favorite experiences in my life have been running to music on psychedelics.
You one up and with the psychedelics there.
Yeah,
You feel it all.
yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
just almost just this sensation of just being. It pushes you to the edge almost when you're really running and you're like really going for it. It's like yeah, it really does kind of push me to the edge and kind of helps me to uh, break down if I have to break down afterwards or
Yeah,
breathe.
the physical exertion can really take you there
Yeah,
in a way. Really.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah, moving the body is like the best thing, like, to get out of, feeling stuck or
yeah,
something, just you feel like something is trapped, and then you somehow start moving and everything feels a little bit lighter.
yeah,
Yeah, the worst thing you can do when you start feeling down is to lie down on the couch and watch Netflix. It's the absolute
Yeah, yeah.
It's like when you're on a psychedelic journey as well, it's the worst thing you can do. I don't know if you have any psychedelic experience, Lucia, or if you'd be even open to talking about that on a
Yeah.
public podcast if you did, but um,
I mean, I took mushrooms actually with my mom,
Oh,
which
wow.
was amazing. It was such a cool experience because I mean, we were together experiencing this. Well, I had taken like microdosing before. I guess that was my first experience, but I couldn't really feel anything. And actually, I'm a person that dreams a lot. Like, I don't know if this has to do with I'm a Pisces. Like, I don't know. Like, I dream a lot, and taking the microdosing, like, I think it was like almost every morning. I just stopped dreaming somehow. I don't know why. But then I did a mushroom trip, like macrodose, and that was super, super healing. It was really nice. And I just felt connected to everything, to nature, and just in a pure state of like love. It just felt like being very present and just grounded, which is how we all want to feel, and maybe like on grounding times and like everything being chaotic at times is just, I guess you can just meditate and get into that state too, but it's a little bit harder sometimes to reach to that level just by
Yeah.
meditating.
It takes
yeah,
longer, and it's and not everybody is kind of attuned to. I don't think meditation is for everybody, just like psychedelics. And
Mm.
I think this is one of the main traps of the spiritual processes that people think there's one method that should, and people get really attached to whatever works for them, and then they feel like they have to, because they had a.
why isn't everybody doing this?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Um, but yeah, well, it's very interesting that you had your experience with your mom because
Yeah, I don't know if she'll be happy with me talking about. No,
Ah.
yeah, I don't know.
but it's
Sorry,
that's
Cynthia.
quite a different situation to many of us where it's like having for myself having been interested in this stuff in my teens, like the parents were like these people that you really had to hide this from at all
Yeah, yeah,
costs
we talk
because
about this all the time, actually, me and Hewkii.
yeah,
This
because
is not.
it's you just know that there's no way that they're gonna understand, and they've been raised in this kind of system of if you try mushrooms, you might as well have just been in a dark alleyway shooting up heroin.
Yeah,
But there's no distinction in there. But that's changing now, and with my own parents as well. You notice that there's
Mm. I feel
like
like there's
culturally
more
there's a
research.
shift. Yeah, there's research. There's more of a cultural shift of understanding that there's deep nuance to a lot of this, and things are not good or bad in this kind of a binary simplistic way. That there's mushrooms can be very harmful if you're not careful, or it can be very beneficial. And it's in a sense it's just like a knife. You can cut a sandwich with a knife, or you can defend your family with a knife, or you can stab yourself in the
Mm.
eye with a knife. It's the same tool, you're just wielding it differently. Um, so I think
uh,
that's culturally kind of becoming a little bit more understood, or it's seeping in more. But for a lot of
Mm.
us, the older generations, it's just they've been so thoroughly programmed to just see this in just like black and white, demonized way that it's very hard uh, to reach a kind of a connection. So
yeah,
I,
yeah.
I
I'll
think it's
never forget the look in my dad's eyes when I told him I'd done LSD. Like, it was just like my son did drugs. Can't can't believe this. As
He has never taken any drugs or anything like that.
far as I know, and like,
Mm.
yeah, I'd be very surprised to find out. Both my parents, I never even saw him drunk or anything when I was growing up. They never
Mm.
yeah,
indulged in
that's a
any
good
kind of.
thing in many ways.
Yeah, totally, totally. It's just like you said, very black and white. It's all bad. We're not
Yeah.
doing any of it. It's not. It's no use. But
Right.
in the case of alcohol, I'd say That is a pretty fair assessment, though.
Yeah, but even in that case, it's like I've seen people go too far into the binary thinking there of like alcohol is all bad, but then it's like, well, there are some people that kind of made their first steps into being social, where alcohol was kind of necessary for them to just to lubricate things, the social lubricant analogy that, some people may have um, been able to step out of their shell and kind of learn how to socialize more.
Oh, liquid courage, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of that. Somebody said that Icelanders would only be 50,000 in number if it weren't for alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of true.
Yeah, yeah. We don't socialize much, that's for sure.
Not that you need that as a crutch, but I just think it's, usually unhelpful when. And even if you look at something like people, something like opiates, it has a place in a medical setting where people are in a lot of physical pain. Like
Mhm.
it's all of these things. It's very nuanced, and there's a context is so important to the
Yeah, it just
discussion.
depends why you're using it, like how
Yeah,
you want to use it, like the purpose behind it.
yeah,
Like if you just want to numb yourself and not feel anything, then you definitely shouldn't do that because I think you should do it with a purpose of, maybe healing something or moving through something or seeing something that you wouldn't be able to see
yeah,
if you don't take that type of medicine. Like,
yeah.
yeah, so I think it's just the meaning behind why you're doing what you're doing.
All right.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
intention, right?
100%.
The intention.
What are you
Yeah,
trying to create here? Yeah.
yeah.
Mm, yeah.
But this brings us kind of into a territory that I wanted to touch on from the beginning is the intersection of music and spirituality. It seems like this is something that you're, like ourselves, are very interested in exploring, like how, well, where do those two fields meet of music and spirituality, and can we use music as a tool for spiritual growth or exploration? And it's very cool that you're kind of Trojan horsing the chakras into, did you say some kind of a pop or accessible music that you're putting in the background? So I wanna steer us a little bit into that direction of music and spirituality.
Yeah. I think that's like actually happened because most of maybe my friends growing up weren't into spirituality as much as I was. Like I started meditating when I was 16. I got into, I did meditations of past lives and I got into astrology. I studied tarot. Like I got into spirituality very young because I just loved everything that's like out of the ordinary or people wouldn't really talk about that. I just love those things. So that got into that, but I saw that maybe friends or my friends or people who were in the same grade as I was weren't into that. And I think in my music, it translated into like wanting people to get into that world, but without being like, it's this world. You just have to,
Hmm.
it's like more like a transition. So it's like easier for
Bridge.
maybe someone. Yeah, it's a bridge for that's easier for someone who's maybe a little bit more close-minded about those topics, but it's still there and accessible to them if they do want to take that invitation and get into that world. But it's not like you have
Yeah.
to get, like meditation music, but it's like you just use it for meditation and that's it. Like I just wanted my music to be kind of like a bridge of those two worlds for people who maybe, are interested, but they feel like scared because most people are just scared to feel things that are deep, and
Hmm.
heal and because we all have trauma since we're born. So like it's just hard to like just, get into that. So I just wanted to build that bridge for people just to, be curious about it. If you're not interested, you just can listen to the pop part. But if you're interested, you can get more into that sample and the sounds and the meaning of the lyrics, which is also it talks about, healing and all of that. So Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not just like a Trojan horse for people who might be more, let's say, scientifically minded or whatever, more on the rational brain side. Like, what is this? How do to kind of open up to spiritual ways of looking at life? It's not just that, it's also for people who haven't accustomed their nervous systems to allowing themselves to feel a lot. I think that's,
Hmm.
to me, that's like the more important part of it, because really spirituality to me is about facing yourself and going through these emotions that, or being honest with yourself, radically honest with yourself in a way that a lot of people aren't willing to be, and asking
Mm.
questions of yourself that a lot of people just aren't willing to ask. Um, and you can't, like, it can be really hard to do that too fast. Like, you just get like you said, when people aren't used to feeling very deeply or allowing themselves to feel very deeply, um, and working through difficult emotions, which, as far as I'm concerned, can't do anything but serve you and be good for you if you go and do that. But a lot of people aren't willing to do that. So how do you bridge that gap and push them not too fast in that direction? Because if you push them too fast, it can be like, your nervous system just kicks in and says, "Oh no, no,
Just
no, we're not.
triggers the
Oh God."
defense.
Yeah, like when
Hmm.
you get tickled or something, it just goes, "No, no, no, I don't know, no." I'm not.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's why I wanted to make it subtle. Like, I just didn't want to make it like pushing and forcing people to kind of go that way. If not, just like it's their choice. Like, I'm not pushing or forcing. It's just like if you do want to go towards this way, then great. But if you don't and you just want to keep staying where you are, then that's fine too. It's just up to you, the rhythm that you want to go through something, and definitely doing something way too fast and trying to heal everything at once. If you've never tried to heal anything, that's not the way to go.
Yeah.
That's definitely probably worse than so I think that's why for me, like the songs are still into that world of like, pop, modern, indie folk, whatever you can call it, and also yeah, a little bit of elements um of some samples and healing things. But yeah, it's not forcing anyone to just be like, go this way. If not, it's just more
An
like
invitation.
an invitation. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I think it's very cool that you're taking this approach of building bridges as well, because between people, um, because if you look at, for example, the 60s, a lot of people like Ramdas that were kind of prevalent in the 60s, the counterculture movement there. In hindsight, they really highlighted the fact that it was not inclusive enough. That this was, about the hippies kind of versus the squares and the normal people. Um, and I think I remember him saying this was one of the main pitfalls and the reason why that revolution did not reach its intended goals is because it was just kind of spirituality for the contrarians or the select group of people. And I think what the change I notice a lot these days when we have kind of almost a kind of a second, you know, a renaissance of spiritual topics and
Second coming.
yeah, a little bit. Is that it's so much more uh, you know, prevalent within just people you would not expect to be into these topics. And I think this is what's different now. Is that it's not we're not just catering to a specific group of people. This is, I did 5-MeO DMT uh, with a facilitator who I just realized after the fact had been my lawyer at some point. And it got me thinking,
Really?
yeah, and it like I didn't even connect two and two because he
It's,
just jumped in really
it's just
quickly.
such a bomb to throw on somebody, man. Like, I just
Yeah,
did
No,
5-MeO DMT
that's so cool.
with
no,
a person who used to be my lawyer. It's just like so many questions. What did you get sued? What?
Yeah, at some point I went to court for a bullshit reason. Yeah.
It
That's a
was. It was.
story for another time. But no, that specific experience, the fact that I actually realized after the fact that he had been my defendant in court, like wow, like a guy who was serving me this powerful medicine was, you know, just defending me in court the other day, just like an everyday lawyer, and not a guy with dreadlocks, with beads and smelling like weed, you know. And I think that's a little bit what's different about our cultural moment currently is that it's these spiritual topics are for everybody. They're not just for
Mm.
We've
the
got
hippies.
we've got spiritual double agents at every level of society. Got lawyers. We have yeah.
Uh,
What
I
have
love that though. Like he didn't identify himself just with this one thing. He was like open enough to be something else as well.
Yeah.
He didn't just follow the rule of like to be a lawyer, you have to do this and behave like this
and
and
you
do that.
definitely have to not do 5-MeO DMT.
All right. But I don't think this would have
That's pretty cool.
been a common occurrence or happened much, like if you go back in time, uh, like for example to the 60s. Like if you were a lawyer, like you were you were probably not exploring your mind in that capacity. And I
Mm-mm.
think that
Maybe your kids are, and you're resentful with them for.
yeah, because they're rebelling against your, conformist ways. Um, but I think it's a part of like the distinctions are just getting more and more blurred. Like you can't keep things in these
Yeah, and we're
different
learning, I
compartments.
suppose, to play the character, but also to be spiritual at the same time. Because um, I think, well, for me at least, the path seems to be not to, become a monk who just meditates 24/7 and doesn't do anything, a total renunciant. In yoga, there's two paths that are spoken of that you can take to enlightenment. You can do that. You can just sit down and meditate all day, every day. Or you can, option number two is you keep working on what you're supposed to be working on and you play out the role of the character that you were put here as. But you remember all the while that you're entitled to work, but you're not entitled to the fruits of your work. You're just allowed to kind of float through, do your thing, do what you got to do, and be totally detached from any outcome. And
Right.
it sounds like what that lawyer might have been experiencing. He's like playing the role of the lawyer and all, but really deep down, we know it's all just a game.
Right. You're actually you reminded me of something that's I haven't looked at in a while. Have you? Just to go on a bit of a tangent, have you heard of the
That's what we
the
do.
10 ox herding pictures?
No?
I think this is from Zen. So I'm just gonna go through them just for fun. Um, so it's these kind of 10 pictures that depict the spiritual process. And the first one is realize that you don't know what you want to do. Um, and then there's just a picture of this guy just not knowing what to do. Two, embark on a journey of self-discovery to find out what you want to do. And he's going on a journey. Number three, at last, what I want to do. Passion. And then he's, living that. Then number four, struggle
Herd
to
in the
make.
oxen, just.
And number four, struggle to make your passion your own. He's kind of wrestling with the ox. And number five, passion at last. I got you. So he's kind of tamed the ox. And we're on to number six, captured passion at your disposal. So that is like, seems like he's really, in control of the situation or like really found a way to work with the ox. And number seven, realize that the passion was already inside of you, not outside of you. So the ox is no longer there in the picture, it's just laying. And then number eight, become absorbed in the passion you have taken out and enter a flow state. So then there's just like this empty, there's just nothing on the picture, it's just absorption. And then number nine, become one with nature and good fortune will repeat itself, becoming a greater success than expected. So that now there's more imagery coming back to the picture. And number 10, become a natural communicator of what you have learned to others. So this, I just wanted to bring this in because you were speaking about like people just going into the absorption and then people taking that understanding with them into life and transmitting it to others. Um, and I think that's kind of very beautifully illustrated here and I recommend people go look at the pictures just because I think it's a very kind of cute and concise depiction of this process of it's not about just going into the absorption. You want to actually take it back into your life and be
Yeah,
able to.
because all of life becomes more fun when you realize it's all just for fun.
Yeah, right.
You just get to make of it what you will. There is no real point here. We're just kind of messing around.
Yeah. But anyway, that was a little tangent. Just wanted to bring that one in, and
I
all to
like
kind of highlight the bridge building that you were
Mm.
working with in your music.
I love
mm,
that. I need to look it up too. I would love to see those images.
Mhm.
Mm.
yeah, reaching so yeah, I guess the question is now because you're at the stage where you're sharing these lessons with the world, Lucia. Um, what was it that really brought you to learn those lessons in the first place?
Mm. I think I'm still learning as I'm writing each song. Like I feel like for me, since this album is especially like healing every chakra, like I was healing each chakra as I was finishing the song, which was a crazy experience. And I still haven't finished two of them. And I realized I still have to work on those two like the most,
Mm,
which is actually crazy. That's why I think it's still not finished. Um, but yeah, I think I'm still learning as I go, and I try to, put it out there for even if I'm not like haven't fully learned, what I need to learn, but it's a process. And it's also good to share those lessons as you're learning as well, because we're all still learning and we always have like a little bit more to uncover. I think nobody is like perfect and can give one truth and put it out there and be like, okay, this is like I've learned my lesson. Here you go. I am like the wisest person and can teach it. Like, I feel like we're all like still maybe at different levels, and that changes but we're all still learning at that level that we're in. So maybe it's like, okay, someone is better at me at doing this thing, but maybe a little bit, and we can all help each other out, different with different things. And yeah, I think we're all here to learn. We're all students and it's a process. And like you said, it's about having fun in the process, not be too hard on yourself and not identifying yourself with one thing because that limits you so much. Like if you're just like, okay, I'm a lawyer or okay, I'm this, like you live your whole life kind of like in a box and not being able to turn into different things as you go. And I think I don't know, just everyone is an artist in their own way. And I think being an artist for me is exactly that. Like I can mess up and I can rebuild myself and identify myself with different things because I am the artist who creates, different identities as I go along my journey.
Shapeshifter.
Shapeshifter.
Yeah, that's actually
hey,
one definition I heard of God. God is an infinite shapeshifter.
shapeshifter. I
I
just
love
had
that.
an
Yeah,
insight. That's going to be my next album title, Shapeshifter.
shapeshifter.
Good one. Yeah,
Uh,
because
Love
yeah,
it.
it is
Song
about.
seeds.
So you can be the consciousness that's in the background of it all, basically, is what you're saying. Just watching it all unfold, and there's the character Lucia doing the Lucia things, and currently she's into this and that, but that might change. Um, and this is what we're trying to tell the world. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah,
And
that
that feels
certainly
like
makes life more fun. Yeah.
yeah, and it gives you less disappointment because things can always change. Like, I think if you define yourself so much, like, and tomorrow something tragic happens. Like I feel like I don't know, like it's hard to live life that way, defining yourself just in one specific way. I think you just have to, live life a little bit lighter in a lighter way.
And it
Yeah.
goes in
It's much
both
easier.
directions. Because I also remember, like in my late teens, I became too identified with being a spiritual explorer that it was hard for me to, just do everyday boring stuff. Who wants to do boring stuff? I want to like travel the mind, man. You know?
Do 6 tabs of LSD. How about
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
going in.
I
Yeah,
think
but
it's
that's identifying yourself with one thing anyway.
yeah. That's
Just
exactly
being.
what I was saying is that it goes both ways. That for some people, it's probably really good practice to you know try it being a lawyer, see how that goes.
Yeah. If you're so
Yeah.
spiritual, why don't you go through law school?
Yeah,
How
let's see
about
how.
that? See how you...
It's just like that Ram Dass quote. I think it was from him. If you think you're enlightened, spend a week with your family.
Right. Yeah. And you will get pissed off sooner or later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
But it's good to find a balance in everything because I feel like if you're too spiritual, you're not in this, world and in this body, you're just like outside of your body, just like somewhere else. I think it's good to, you know, kind of
I mean,
find that
yeah.
balance.
I think that is real spirituality is actually just being present in here and being lost in
Mhm.
exploring all the dimensions of the mind is not for me not the point.
And we can,
Uh,
yeah, we've talked about
Mhm.
getting too identified with being the spiritual self as well before on
yeah,
this podcast, like how that can, because that's where the ego gets the strongest stranglehold on you, when it starts thinking, "Oh, I'm
Mhm.
so spiritual. I'm like better than everybody else because I'm so spiritual, and you guys don't look at me with that unconscious look,
yeah,
geez, what are you? You don't even get me. I'm at a much higher plane because
yeah.
it's literally a game about who cares about the game the least,
Right.
who ca
But then
who
you got people like not examining themselves when they think they're enlightened. And I think this is where you get like all these stories of male gurus like being sexually exploitative and abusing power dynamics is because they've just convinced themselves that they're beyond all that stuff. And then bam, it sneaks up on you.
it's
Um,
Yeah.
phew,
yeah.
Mm.
So
because
it's a
all of a
real
sudden you're back enjoying sense pleasures.
yeah, but you're doing it in a way that you've just repressed them and then they come out in toxic ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's another
Mhm.
important topic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If you repress your nature like that, then yeah, it's
Yeah, and
usually
this is why
going to
you
result in
see it
negativity.
especially much in traditions that kind of um, denigrate the body or conceive of the body as something
Mm.
dirty
Yeah,
or
shameful.
shameful, and that's where you get all this repressed sexuality and shame that pops out in really, really toxic and ugly ways. So yeah, I think that kind of, I think that's false spirituality in a sense of just like um, thinking of spirituality as something that's higher or beyond and not just this experience right here that you're going through, which is living through uh, this body, which is
Yeah.
just, absolutely beautiful. It's not something to try to get away from or to transcend.
Hmm.
Yeah. But it's good to experience, I guess, the extremes sometimes to
Yeah,
realize that. Because if you maybe didn't experience being like fully into spirituality, then you wouldn't know that that's also not good for you. And sometimes you need to go through that in order to be able to be like, okay, here is not good either. Like
hmm,
it's not okay here just being in the material side of it, and it's not good here either. So then coming back into the center and you know traveling between those two because you know those two places like to begin with, because if you don't know the other side then you can't implement something
yeah,
in between. So sometimes it's good to experience the extreme so
Yes.
yeah.
both.
Things are only kind of make sense in contrast to their opposite in a sense. And I think this is what humanity is doing a lot, is exploring these different kind of poles and
Yeah,
then
Yeah.
understanding the other side from that perspective, but never really fully realizing that it's the same thing. It's one. It's not, you don't have materiality and spirituality. Uh it's the same thing. You're just looking at it from a different lens.
yeah, and I think
Mhm.
you raised another very important point there, Lucia, which is that you got to try stuff out before you can decide if it's good for you or not. You got to really, I think a lot of people make the mistake of deciding before they've really given it an honest shot. They just say,
Mhm.
no, you know what, math isn't for me. You know, I've always been bad at math, or yeah, whatever it may be. And then you
Music
find
for a
that,
lot of people.
yeah. But then the people that say they suck at math have no problem calculating the change they're supposed to get back at the supermarket, you know, and it's like, what are you talking about? Um, so yeah, those people in
Mhm.
that example could benefit from perhaps doing a maths course and figuring out that, well, unless you know, unless you've actually tried it and you know for sure at this point it's not for you, then that's cool and all. But I'm saying in most of those cases, I think people just haven't tried it out enough. I've gotten, and that's part that connects back to what we were talking about with trying out all these different characters, you know. That's kind of my reason behind just like I started dressing. This is new this year. Like I wear suits every day because I just decided I want to try that out for a while and see what that character is like. You know, I want to, and it turns out people treat you very differently if you're wearing a suit. It's hilarious. Um,
So funny.
like it's astounding. The difference is night and day. It's wild. Um, but where was I? It's so like we're doing this podcast at an unusual hour, and I'm like,
10
Lucia's in
a.m.
Australia. Yes, 10 a.m. God, got the musician up so early.
Yeah,
Um,
for the people that don't
that's
know, I
brilliant.
was just woken up. I thought we were doing tomorrow, and I just got woken up like 20 minutes before the podcast. Like, bro, we're going on. Um,
And Hewkii did the most incredible impression of somebody who's been awake for at least 1 hour.
yeah,
Um,
you actually you caught me at a moment where I was just ready to bounce out of bed.
it's
Uh,
just at the right point in the sleep cycle.
yeah.
Um, that's
Oh,
professionalism. You see, though I'm wearing a suit, but I ain't getting up at 7. You know, this is
I was just looking up the Jimi Hendrix quote because I was having this conversation a few days ago. Like, I never wear a fucking suit. You're never gonna catch me wearing a suit, and this is where I'm identified all the way in that direction of,
exactly.
and like I was looking up that the Jimi Hendrix quote. I don't ever want. Wait, I don't want to ever look at a tie again. I had enough of the shiny suits and the patent leather shoes when I was with an R&B band. Clothes like that restrict your personality.
See, I mean, I've kind of found ways to express myself in spite of it all. I kind of go wild with the colors a little bit because I
Right.
like to be able to switch it up. But
Yeah.
no, I
Mhm.
I appreciate that point as well. But yes, as you say, I do think he's being too identified with the
Yeah.
identity that says we don't wear suits because not wearing suits means we're free.
Yeah. In a sense,
But
you're
we're
Mhm.
you're
not
being
allowed to
more
wear suits.
you're being more free than he is in this equation of like, yeah, I'm free to wear a suit if I
Yeah.
want to wear a
That's
suit.
right. I am more spiritual than Jimi Hendrix. Take that. Yeah, but I've gotten comments throughout my journey because people on the outside don't always appreciate or approve of you changing as much as you do. And I've gotten comments like, "Wow, you're so impressionable." You know, you keep um I remember my dad said that to me once, and I had a girlfriend who was very like, oh, just seriously disappointed in me at one point because I changed so much since we started dating, and I was like, yeah, that's what happens, you know. I don't know what else to do in this experience than to try out all this different stuff that I could be trying out. Um, because again, you can't know unless you try out if it really works for you. I learned that
Shapeshifter.
just like, yeah, I I learned that
Shapeshifter.
lesson so hard when I was growing up because my parents didn't have a lot of money growing up when I was growing up. They do now. They're doing quite well, but they were still in university when I was growing up and very young. So I grew up with just, whatever is put on your plate is what you gotta eat. There is no other food to be had. So I always had to try stuff with an open mind like that. And I remember being so mind boggled by other kids when I got to school when they were like, they didn't like what was being offered in the cafeteria. And I was just like, you don't even try to bite. What are you talking about? Are you serious? Like, I mean, to be fair, it wasn't very good. Um, but all the same, you didn't even try a bite, and you're just gonna go, no, this isn't for me. That's not how it works. And same, I would say, when people come to me and are like, "What are you like? What happened to you, man? Like, what? Why do you always feel like you gotta change? Are you changing for somebody else? Do you feel like you need to live up to some standard, and you can't be yourself? Like, aren't you strong enough to just be yourself?" And that's a total misunderstanding because it's like being strong enough to just be yourself in this instance means uh, not being open to trying stuff out and just sticking to your guns, no matter if they take you to heaven or to hell. Um, and I don't think that's a very smart way to go about life. That's what I'm saying.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't remember where I was going with this aside from that, but feel free to
It was,
jump
it
on.
was
It's
the
getting out of your
shapeshifter.
comfort zone.
Yeah,
Shapeshifter.
trying out
So
the
many people
different.
just don't. So
Yeah, it was in the
it's
context of trying out the sides of any equation to kind of really to understand
Yeah, God, I
the
remember
balance.
looking at somebody play the piano at some point. Like before I started with the guitar and the bass when I was 14. And then I was looking at people play the piano and I was just like, how the hell? Like looking at it from the outside, you're just like, there's so many buttons. How do you know what buttons you're supposed to be? And you're supposed to be like operating stuff with your feet at the same time, like both feet and all 10 fingers. And how do you, I don't see any pattern on the keyboard. Like how do you know where to put your fingers? Um, and so, and then you just kind of learn how, and then it becomes second nature at some point. And you can't imagine how it was not being able to do it before. Going outside your comfort zone in that way can be such a mind-blowing experience because every time you do it, you learn something new, and you experience something as totally inconceivably impossible and not able to be understood, and then you perceive it as like, how could anybody not understand this? And going through that process with enough different experiences just loosens up the programming in your brain step by step that says you can't learn new skills essentially. And that's what it's
Even
really
more,
about. It's just
more,
learning new skills.
more fundamentally is that it's kind of like a small ego death every time
Yeah.
you step out of your comfort zone in that way because
yeah.
you have your idea of yourself that can do certain things, and then when you step out of that, you are that old version of your sense in an old version of yourself in a sense has to die. Um, and that is always an uncomfortable thing for the ego because it is like a small death because your old idea of what you can and can't do has to die for a new version that has other capacities to be born.
Yeah. Better version of yourself.
2.0. Yeah, the update.
Yeah.
The updated version.
It's coming online. Yes.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun with this of just like understanding that the ego or the character that I play most of the time is just one kind of character I could be playing, and it's not essentially me. So I've had a lot of fun just, inventing new versions and characters of myself, and playing different characters in different situations. Um, that whole shapeshifter attitude of, I'm not as confined. I'm not this specific thing I've grown up thinking I am. This is just a costume. I can just,
Oh,
put on the tie.
fun.
Maybe you'll find me in a tie at some point. Oh, that's maybe it's a bridge
Really
too.
hard to picture, honestly.
Yeah, it's,
And
but we'll see. We'll
But it
see.
gives you so much freedom thinking like that. Like
Yeah.
you're just free to change, and if people are not like, if they're like, oh, what are you doing? Why are you changing so much? Then maybe that's not the people that you should be hanging out with. Like it's good to be surrounded by people who also are experimenting, being different versions of themselves, and like everyone kind of supporting each other. Like that's good. You're trying to be this and you're trying this new thing. And I don't know. I think it's good to have at least the close community and close friends
Yeah.
supporting you to change and yeah, be
Yeah,
different versions of yourself.
that's a big reason why a lot of people don't do it, I think, because it would mean a lot of relationships having to end, you know.
Yeah.
It's a very scary step
Mm.
to take to really, because I mean, yeah, the people are so prone to trying to pull you back down to their level, you know.
Because it's not just the ego death from your perspective, it's the death of other people's idea of you that they're attached to as
Hmm.
well.
Your
Um,
outside reality has to
yeah,
change.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
and somebody proves to them that they themselves can also change, and they're not willing to face that, you
oh
know.
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
exactly.
It's like, how
Yeah,
dare you shine your light so bright when I am clearly refusing myself the same privilege? How-
yeah, exactly. Yeah, but
I
I
am,
still think there is
Yeah.
a difference between changing because you want to try out or play it and grow, and changing because you feel some kind of societal pressure to
Peer
be a
pressure.
certain way for other people. And I think maybe some people don't know the difference, and when they see you wearing a suit and tie, they may think that, well, no, he's just, really feeling some sort of pressure from his surroundings to fit in. Um,
yeah, or oh, he thinks he's better than us, you know. Another
yeah.
one. Think you're
I
high
guess
No
you are
class.
pity,
the one
man.
that knows. So as
Yeah,
long as you're good with that and then you're interpreted the way that you do and like trying different things and it being good for you, then you can give other people that explanation and if they don't understand it, then
yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah,
then they can,
That's
yeah.
on them.
They get to take care of that.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
That's
fine.
a very important attitude. Not
Yeah, I
giving.
mean, you don't know anyone an explanation, but in case they're interested, they want to ask, and you're like, why?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Give explanations with no expectation for understanding.
Hmm.
Just kind of, yeah, yeah. That's a lesson that's been coming through for me actually, very recently. Not caring too much about what other people think or or how they see me.
huge.
Um, Yeah, it is huge, and it like at first we were actually talking about this on the phone the other day, me and Lucia. Um, like when you've been bottling it up for so long, when you've been kind of trying to play the nice guy and people pleasing a little bit too much and allowing people to subtly overstep your boundaries for such a long time and not really expressing your own truth fully, you get so angry with yourself over all that time because you keep betraying yourself, your authentic self, again and again and again and again. And once you put a stop to it, it comes out, it tends to come out very violently, or, well, not like as in physical violence, but like
Forcefully.
forcefully, yeah. Because you just explode with this, like, oh my God, I'm so done with this shit. Like, what? Fuck everybody. Get out of my face right now. I don't owe you
And
an
it feels
explanation.
great.
Yeah, yeah, it's like, yeah, it's the best feeling ever. But it's
But you
like,
still gotta be careful when it happens because it can like come out in ways that can be come off as rude
Hurtful.
or inconsiderate or hurtful because when it's just like we were talking about before with the bottling up stuff. Whenever you bottle something up, it has a tendency to come out in toxic ways. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Hmm.
I feel like I've done that so many times. Like I just keep it in. I'm like, okay, I gotta be nice. And then all of a sudden it's like explodes and then that's never the good way to go. Like you
then
just
you're
have
not
to
so nice
communicate.
anymore.
Yeah, you're not like you need to say like when something bothers you, no matter because you're like, oh, what is the other person going to think if if I say it now, or like maybe it's not the right moment, or maybe it's not good of like a reason, like it's not good enough. Like, but you just have to like be like, okay, this bothers me, and then it's up to the other person to be like, okay, like how can I like do I receive it or do I not receive it? But how you say it, it's so important And if you say it, I mean, the sooner the better, because you can just put it out there in a much calmer way instead of like accumulating specific moments over and over, and then it's just like,
Exploding.
I hate
I
you.
hate you.
Yeah.
What? God
We,
damn, this is why I hate talking with you. Yeah.
we've talked about this specific pattern with, I think everybody here now on this podcast is very agreeable. That's the
Yeah.
sense I get from you as well, Lucia. And me and Timmy are the same. We're very agreeable people. We don't like conflict necessarily very much, and we're generally quite nice. And I think that's a big thing for people like us is that when we try to be nice too much, that's then we are have a tendency maybe to not express when we're um, not okay with something. And
Mhm.
I almost feel like that would typically be more of a big problem for women than for men.
I've also noticed
Mm.
that also because the social expectation is that women should be,
To
nice
conform.
or always smiling, not supposed to, you know, be fierce in that way. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like they teach us to be that way since we're like super young. So then it's like, yeah, like ingrained in our identity of how we should to be nice to everybody and just like keep it, stable and not having any reaction or not be too expressive or yeah. That's why music, again, like for me, that was such an outlet because in a society maybe that it's like it's supposed to be this way. You can't react. We're very structured. I mean, I grew up in the northern part of Italy where it was like very, very structured. Um, I mean, probably more for you in Iceland. I don't know. Or maybe in Germany now.
Yeah, Germany for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like music was an outlet because of that. I could be like more like, okay, I can be whoever I want here. And if I'm mad, I can play angry music and just yell.
Heavy
And I can
metal.
just press really hard on my keyboard.
And imagine it's my mom's head.
Yeah.
This is why I have metal music. Uh,
It's important to have that. I mean, and it's important as you grow to realize maybe patterns that are not healthy for you and they're because of the society that or the people around you that grew up with certain values, and it's up to you to decide which values you want to keep and which ones don't serve you anymore. And for you, like it's your responsibility at the end. You can't blame anyone else. And when you realize that, it's actually like, oh, wait, I have to take care of like things that are not working for me anymore.
Hmm.
And I have to actively change them because otherwise nobody else is going to do that for me. Like, I have to change that. And maybe I have to be the example. If I'm the only one in the family who acts a certain way, that's fine. Like it's up to them to choose whether they want to do it or not. But it's up to me to behave the way that, I want to and I want to be like. I can't expect someone else to do it in order for me to do it as well.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
That's yeah. Be the change
Yeah.
you want to see in the world. And uh, what's the quote? There's a really good quote for this. Like, right, seek first to understand and then to be understood. That's what I was looking
Mhm.
for. And that's, I think, growing up. That's growing up in one sentence right there, where you just said, um, being the example in the family and not being the hurt and scared and lost child anymore, being like, Mom and Dad, you gotta show me the way. Why are you why are you being all weird about this one thing? Like, you're clearly supposed to be acting the other way. You just gotta.
Yeah, we blame so much. Like I feel like I blamed my parents for so many things until I realized, wait, like I'm responsible for changing, like too. Like I have those same patterns in me because I've seen them in them, and like it's up to me to change. Like all that blame that like I was like putting out, I was like, okay, wait, what if I just mirror it back to me and like what can I change within myself in order not to feel like I have to blame everybody else for something that I'm responsible for changing. And like I can change that and that gives you so much power. Like instead of giving someone else the power, you just take it back, and you'll be like, wait, I can change this, and I can be, I can act differently, and yeah, I think
If you're brave enough to turn the mirrors around, that image has made it so visceral, when you're hitting beaming all the blame on the outside, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh God, oh my God.
I don't know if you've seen that meme. It's like these two pictures like before spiritual awakening, and then there's this kid with his like boot on his face, like he's being trampled. And then after spiritual awakening, it zooms out and he has his hand in the boot and he's doing it to his own head.
Oh my God, that's so true.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of taking responsibility, let's maybe dive into your world travels and stuff. Like you live in Australia now, you're in a new apartment. I was going to ask you how the situation is over
Yes.
there.
Yes, I love it here. Finally, in an apartment. For me, I think I've used traveling as getting out of my comfort zone for so long that then it has become like my normal. And I just realized that very, very recently, where I'm like, well, actually, for me, getting out of my comfort zone is choosing to stay in one place. Like for me, it's always been like since I was very young. Like, I mean, I was born in Argentina, then I moved to Italy, then I moved to the US, then I was living in Boston, then I lived in Los Angeles for a year and a half, and Texas 4 years before that. Then after that, I moved to Norway, and then Argentina and Italy again. So, so many places where I was just actively, trying to be like, well, yeah, getting out of my comfort zone. I need to grow. This is like, and I realized that's how I just grew up and I was used to doing that. And maybe, like, just maybe staying in one place for me, it's actually trying to do something differently and growing. And so now that's why I'm here and I chose here and I love Australia. I love it so much.
Where in Australia are you?
And yeah, in Port Douglas, so the
Okay.
north part of Australia in Queensland.
Mm.
And I love it here. It's a really small town. And I was very like a few weeks ago, I was having a whole like existential crisis, like, oh my God, I need to move. Like I shouldn't be here after traveling like for 2 months in a van and living in a van. I was like, I got back to port and I had this like, oh my God, I should be moving again. I should be traveling. And it was so hard for me to be like, wait, maybe it's okay for me to stay in one place and try to be still. There's growth in that too. And
Mm.
and yeah, that's what I'm trying to do now and being comfortable with the uncomfortable of staying in one place.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's kind of
Yeah.
similar to what we've spoken about, like for example, with the psychedelics, is that traveling or taking a trip, whether it be in the mind or the physical realm, it can have an escapist tendency to
Oh
it.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when
Hmm.
Oh,
you're really when you're moving places, you're occupied with that whole process, and you don't necessarily have to sit and be with the uncomfortable.
and you always go into a new place where nobody knows you, so you get a fresh start. Like that's the you meet like endless. All the world's party hostels are full of people who are just like going around from place to place, telling themselves they're
Hmm.
traveling because, I just love exploring the world and I love getting to meet new sides of myself and new people and new cultures and explore and growing through it. But really, like deep down, they're just kind of running away from themselves. And I know
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah, I think for me it was like that. Yeah.
And it can also be both. It can also be like genuine curiosity to explore, but
Yeah, maybe
um,
you lived in the same town for all your life and you've just decided you want to get out of your comfort zone and travel. And that's definitely fine too. Like I feel like traveling is nice to open your mind a little bit, get to know different cultures and all of that. But it just depends on why you're doing it again. So it's again back to that same purpose. Like,
Mhm.
and for me, I think it's just trying to avoid something or trying to just avoid staying in one place because growing in one place for me was just very scary because I've never had that stability in my life growing up. So then I was just doing kind of the same thing that I did all my life and just being like, oh, maybe this is the way that it works, and we are always moving and this and that. And then right now it's like, okay, but what if I stay in one place and I try to actually grow here? What could happen?
Yeah.
And now I'm at that point, and I signed a lease for this place for the next 9 months. So
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah,
good.
so
congrats.
that's
Okay.
nice.
You're going in. You're
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
Yes.
I'd be scared of Australia because mostly because of the wild insects they got.
Well,
Yeah.
like a few days ago, I woke up with a snake in my bed, so
No,
that's
That's
fine.
cool. Yeah. Just casually. Well, that's that. Yeah, I used to live in Australia
Jesus.
Oh, really?
from when I was 2 to 4 years old, so I don't remember much of it, but I get to say that I lived in Australia, which is all that counts. But I'm curious, have you ever been to Iceland?
No, I haven't. I would love to go. Maybe
Okay,
not this year. I need to stay one
yeah,
day.
right.
Yeah.
Maybe
Because
soon.
I have one friend who was traveling all over the world, and she said, and she lived in Iceland for a while, and she said that the place, surprisingly enough, the place that came closest to Iceland was Australia,
Hmm.
because it's this big island where people live on the coast. And she said she noticed a lot of parallels of how people kind of cope with life. Um, and yeah, she said this like she's been to New Zealand, who one would think could be kind of more close to Iceland, but she said no, Australia was the most similar one. And she said the Icelanders had faced their inner darkness through the lack of sunlight in the winter. And she said that Australians have faced their inner darkness by being around things that can kill you all the time.
That's true. Honestly, it's true. Everything can kill you here.
They wake up every morning. They make peace with death.
Yeah.
Yeah. I start, and I'm like at the very like north. So like I went on this tour with this guy who was a tour guide, and he was like, well, 90% of this rainforest, don't touch anything because 90% of the rainforest can kill you. Like literally, it's so poisonous that it can kill you. And I was just like on this walk, super, super scared. And then yeah, like a snake could fall like on the trail while you're walking, and then he was just saying that like super chill. I guess he's just like used to, I mean, living here, like he's Australian. But I was just super scared after he said that, and I was just looking at the trees trying to see if a snake was gonna fall on my
Jesus
face.
Christ. Yeah, I'd be scared of even touching the trees. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of things want to kill you here. Most of the things. It's true.
Yeah, that's so
yeah,
funny.
yeah, I definitely need to get used to that. I can see it's a funny comparison though, Iceland and Australia. I would have
Yeah.
never imagined anybody
Yeah,
could
it
those
was
two.
Nix who's been on the podcast, so maybe
Uh,
she can elaborate more on that. Because I think she was doing the thing of she was traveling the world just hitchhiking. She was
Mm.
inspired by this guy who I think is in a wheelchair and traveled the whole world without any money, just on his thumb. And I think she was doing
Oh,
something
that's
similar.
cool.
So I'd be curious to hear some of those stories. But yeah, Iceland and Australia, the only
um,
two countries I've lived.
really,
Really, I need to go to Iceland, see how
Yeah,
they
yes,
you can
compare.
confirm this. Yeah.
Yeah.
or yeah, or
Or
refute
not,
it. We shall see.
or
Yeah,
refute it. Yeah.
but
And I was like,
whatever
yeah,
you do, don't try the food.
yeah, no. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
my friend Martin, who's also been on the show. He came recently, and he went for the fermented shark. We had the Icelandic experience, um, and yeah, it's gross. People
Imagine that
like,
fermented shark. Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
yeah.
Well, he described it as chewy cat piss.
It should have never been invented. That one. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. That's why I mean
Who came up
Iceland.
with the idea? Like,
Exactly.
Hungry people in frozen ice rock
So how
island.
do we need to eat everything. If we don't
Yeah.
eat everything, we will definitely starve. If we eat everything, we might not. So let's
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Well,
No, that's some nice stuff over there now, like plockfish. Could try
Oh
that.
yeah, there's
Also,
some,
yes.
5% of the traditional Icelandic
It's
foods
just the
there.
thing is, yeah, I don't know. Do we want to make this about Iceland all of a sudden? It's
No,
like it's
it's
gonna go
good.
into. Um, yeah,
mm,
let's. I was very curious to talk more about your travels around the world, actually, Lucia, because I find that very. Like, that's been a big tool of mine as well to
mm,
get to know myself, and like we talked about, simultaneously, perhaps unconsciously at the same time, running away from oneself. Um,
escape.
yeah, yeah, getting a fresh start. Everybody sees you for the first time, like, who's this guy? You're just like, yeah,
Mm,
this is who I am, and you get to redefine yourself with no consequences. It's
mm.
amazing.
Until you don't like yourself anymore, and then you just move to another
Okay. Oh wait, I messed up. Let's start again. Let's try this again.
place.
When-
We're gonna get it right eventually.
yeah, yeah. Actually, it's like Groundhog Day. You keep like trying to take notes. Like, what do I do? What is the best way to make a first impression? How do I?
Yeah.
But yeah, so you traveled a lot as a kid just because of your family being
Mhm.
from all over the
Yeah,
place. Okay.
my dad is an engineer, and they gave him like the place where he worked. They gave him like different projects everywhere. So then whenever he finished that project, we would move to another city, and then he would get another project there and kind of like that. Um, but yeah, I was raised for most of my childhood in Italy. So I guess I have like an European background, but I don't really feel European. Like I feel like I'm more Argentinian in a way, even if I just lived there the first 2 years of my life. But I resonate with the Latin community, I think, much more, just like that family and friends, and I don't know.
Is your
And
dad Argentinian as well?
yeah, both of them from the same city.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And then I was born in Buenos Aires, which is the capital, and they were born in Mar del Plata, which is another city. And then my sister was born in Italy. So she's the one who's born in Europe, the only one from our family. Yeah.
Does she speak the best Italian?
Mm,
Tough,
maybe.
tough question. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's also weird because I feel like we both spoke Italian well, and then when we moved to Texas, just went out of the window. It's just like,
Yeah?
and I feel like I think I have the Italian of like a 12-year-old, 13-year-old. It just never grew and just stayed there. And then,
I'm sure it'll
yeah,
come back quickly.
it's confusing. My brain is just confused. There's a lot of languages. I mean,
Yeah.
there's three, but like it's confusing sometimes. I mix them, and when people ask me like, where are you from? I guess that's the hardest question to answer. It's just like I don't know. And I think that's why I've also liked traveling, because I meet people that travel as well and maybe can't define themselves, and I can resonate with them because I can be like, oh yeah, yeah, I feel like I don't belong anywhere either.
Mm.
And yeah, it feels comforting kind of to find those people. And I think here in Port Douglas, where people are just traveling all the time, being in hostels and things like that, I can resonate with them just because of that kind of that background of not really having a home. For me, home has always been like the people, not the actual place. Um, yeah, so it's been chaotic.
Yeah, it's
It's
so interesting. It's
fascinating.
it's like a more extreme version of my case. I mean, I grew up in Germany for my first 4.5 years. But my parents are both Icelandic. They just happened to go to university in Germany, and that's when I was made. And I was 4.5, when we moved back to Iceland, essentially. My whole family is Icelanders. It's all Icelanders. We're probably like 1,200 years back in time, and probably same for you as well, Helgi. There's not wasn't a lot of interbreeding going on, not a lot of mixed
Well, we'll see. I
genetics
was
in
just
Iceland.
doing sending out a DNA test, so there
Oh, so we
maybe.
shall see. We shall
I mean,
see.
I'm 1/4 English, so
No way.
yeah.
Nice.
Wait, why did I not? Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. So I did, I did, and for me, like, yeah, for me, German went right out the window when we went back to Iceland, and then I came back for university here in Germany when I was 22, and I learned the language again, and it was way harder than I was expecting it to be. So definitely relate with that, and my German still isn't anywhere near the level of my English or my Icelandic. Um, Although, yeah, it's getting quite good now. But it's not. It's definitely not at the same. Like I think of languages in terms of the percentage. You know, how to what percentage can I express myself, my authentic character, and I like German is like 80, 90% perhaps at this point, and
That's
English and
very good
Icelandic
though.
are 100.
Yeah, that's good.
But it's like I can't, thank you, but I can't. It's frustrating sometimes when you want to be able to say something with so much nuance, you can't quite
Yeah.
get across what you're trying to say because then the sentence
Uh,
structure gets in the way and it's like what verb was it again? And it's like yeah. But yeah, relate with that. And
Yeah, I that happens to me with Italian too. It's like my brain, it's like thinking, like I really have to think before I speak, and that kind of like frustrates me sometimes. It's like, oh, I
interference
wish I could say
patterns.
this faster.
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you lose the rhythm of the social interaction if you're too slow.
The
Uh,
momentum.
yeah, exactly. You wanna, and then afterwards you're like, oh, I should have said, oh, damn it. Um,
It's like when you're playing,
Yeah.
over a solo over a chord progression, and you're like, wait, which scale was this? And you're like really thinking about the shape.
and then you're
It's
playing a lick and it goes wrong, and then afterwards you're like, no, it was a G flat. Oh God, how could I have?
But then
Oh,
you can say it's just jazz, man. I was just playing outside, man.
yeah. If you play a G natural instead, you just play it again, and then you play it again,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you
I
gaslight
did
the
that on
audience
purpose.
into thinking, yeah, exactly.
Uh,
But yeah, I think it's interesting that you don't quite know how to answer the question where you're from as well. Because for me, that's very clear. But I mean, it's a different case, obviously. Yours is a bit more extreme. But for me, it's like
Mm.
my parents are Icelandic, my grandparents are Icelandic, and I grew up in Iceland after 4.5. You were only in Argentina until what, 2? So I guess
Yeah,
makes it more complicated.
2 years old. Yeah. But also it's beautiful to make just the people your home, and
yeah,
then
I was just
you
gonna
get
say
to
that.
choose kind of like the reality that you want to live in. Like I'm very fortunate in that way. I feel like not having a place that kind of defines me lets me choose like, okay, which one is the best for me? And I can choose, and I'm so thankful for that. At first I was so frustrated. Like I feel like all my life I've been wanting to kind of belong to one place and I don't have that, and now it's like, wait, I get to choose, and that's beautiful as well. And I think it also makes you value more the people that are around you because they can be your home too, and that's also so beautiful to make people your home and not specific place. um yeah, so there's pros and cons like
Yeah.
everything, but
What I was gonna
mhm.
say before, what I find fascinating is that I think for a lot of people, familiarity for them is being in the same place. And it's kind of foreign to me to imagine somebody who's uh, grown up moving around all the time, so that travel is actually what your nervous system is accustomed to, or moving around is what feels like home in a sense,
Yeah.
um, which is
Mhm.
it's very different to what I'm accustomed to. So I think maybe the path is kind of different. Like maybe for you, the training is okay, staying in one place, maybe the real travel, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I relate. I relate
Yeah.
with that so hard. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, and I struggle with that so much. Like I struggle with it a lot.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, wait, it's fine. I can
Yeah.
travel in other ways if I stay in one place.
Yeah. Because our nervous system is seeking familiarity, like be uh, before anything
Yeah.
else. And you even see this with people that are in toxic patterns in relationships, that they will seek out, their nervous system will seek out abusive relationships because that's what they're used to.
Yeah.
That's what they know, that's what feels like home. Um, and
Yeah,
it
because
seems to,
the even if it's bad, the scare it's never going to be scarier than the unknown.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's about asking yourself, like, what's actually the healthiest thing for me? Even if I'm not in it right now, what can change for it to be healthy? Even if it doesn't feel comfortable, and even if it's unfamiliar, what's actually good for me? Because I
Yeah.
feel like for my nervous system, like, yes, I was used to it, but at the same time, traveling can take a toll on you if you're just traveling all the time. Um, and then I feel like in my case, like I couldn't really grow as a musician because I'm just like traveling from one place to another, and then I have to rebuild myself, and maybe I make some contacts, but then I move. So then and it's like, well, yeah, I think it's okay for me to stay in one place and kind of telling myself that over and over again until it feels good for my nervous system
Yeah,
to stay
because
in
it's
one place. But
not
it is to transition.
it's not
Yeah,
necessarily
it's a process.
and it's not necessarily practical to always be moving around. I see it, a lot of people nowadays that it's become a possibility that the world's smaller than it used to be because of international air traffic. You can go anywhere, and there are jobs now where you can just work on your laptop, and you just need an internet machine. You just need an internet machine. So you just need Wi-Fi, and you need a coffee machine, is what I was going to say, and you're good anywhere. And people have
Mhm.
kind of romanticized the digital nomad lifestyle. Like this is where it's at, guys. Just being able to go anywhere, but you totally miss out on really letting your roots grow in one place
Yeah.
and actually creating meaningful, lasting connections and being a useful servant to your local community. Um, and there's so much life satisfaction that comes from just that.
Yeah, we're not made for this kind of crazy amount of travel, like evolutionarily, like this, we're not designed to be moving this fast, um, in all the ways that we're moving fast, the high pace society of
Yeah.
modern times. But yeah, it reminds me of I don't know if it was like an ancient Mongolian saying or some kind of an Aboriginal uh, framework where they said that when you are traveling by horse, when you've traveled a certain distance, it takes a few days for your soul to catch up because
Mm,
your soul travels slower than your physical body. And not to take that too literally, but I think there's like symbolically, there's definitely a truth to it. Because whenever you
yeah.
travel a long distance, you end up in a different place. It takes you your nervous system and your psyche some time to adapt to that because it's such a drastic change from um, whatever place you were situated in before.
hmm Yeah, it's readjusting like everything all over again. It's like different food, different culture, different this, different, especially if you move to a different country, different
Yeah.
language.
Different
Yeah.
temperature, like, and probably a lot of stuff we don't even understand about, like the magnetism of the earth or stuff like this. That.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
really.
so
Yeah, yeah. And that everything wants to kill me here.
That's new. That's
snake in
That's
my
very
bed.
didn't see that coming. And I want to stay here.
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, yeah, I suppose that was the only
Yeah.
realistic option for you, the most dangerous place on Earth. If you're gonna be staying, then at least make it
This
dangerous.
is what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, all right, Lucia, I'm sure we could go on for another hour or two if we had the time, but I think we'll call it now. Is there anything you'd like to say at the end of the episode? Where can people find you and stuff?
Oh, so my name it's Lucia, Lucia, and then my last name is Desimone. It's an Italian last name, so it's Desimone. I always have to spell it out because people don't know how to spell it. And you can find me under that name on Spotify and on Instagram. I'm on Lucia.Desimone. And I think that's it. That's the two of them for now.
We'll get those links in the show notes. Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Super
Yeah,
fun
thank you. It's been a pleasure.
conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Everybody, thanks for listening to today's episode of the Hewkii and Flammeus. Hello, everybody, and hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Hewkii and Flammeus show.
Nej.
Oh God. Jesus Christ. Ég ekki með allar heilasöldum mínar, sko. Ég bara...
Ég lána þær.
Ok, við
Hvernig gengur við?
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Hewkii and Flammeus show. I hope you had fun. Before you leave this week, I want to share a song. It's my turn to share a song, and I want to share a song with you. It's called Kayaking on Kepler 22b. I was just with Hewkii here as we listened to it for the first time. Hewkii, what did you think?
It's a fun song. It's very short, which is it's refreshing. You know, you don't get a lot of songs that are 1 minute and 40 seconds. And my first impression was like this is very Paul McCartney coded.
Yeah.
And when I was getting into the Beatles, it's like, you know, at first it just sounds like the Beatles, and then you start to parse like, okay, wait, this is John Lennon's style, and this is Paul McCartney's style, and then like, oh, that's obviously Ringo.
You pat him on the head.
yeah. But yeah, this felt very much kind of like the jolly Paul McCartney.
Yeah,
style.
Paul McCartney loves to do this like one chord for two beats, like doom 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 doom. Just this basic shuffle beat.
Yeah,
he's got a lot of fun, catchy bangers like that on a few different Beatles albums.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, what I noticed is that so you've been sharing a lot from your most recent album, and then last time we listened to an older song from what was it, 2016?
19.
19. Well, it was written in 2016. You say, or something like this.
Yes.
And this felt kind of, am I correct, in the middle between that older stuff and the latest album?
Oh, that's really... You mean in the musical direction or like the lyrical content, or what do you mean?
Just the sound and the feel of it.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if it lines up chronologically.
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
You're right. Oh, I thought you knew. Okay, cool. Well guessed. Well met. Yeah, nice. Yeah, there's a really funny backstory behind this song, which I'll go through very briefly, which is I was sitting at my grandma's place having lunch just by myself, sitting in the kitchen by myself, by my lonesome, just eating food, watching a YouTube documentary like I love to do. Especially back then in my teenage years, I used to spend so much freaking time on YouTube. If you were the YouTuber I was watching when I was eating, that was a big honor, you know, because it was a very important decision to make. Like, which YouTuber am I picking this time? What video am I dedicating this precious time when I'm eating? It's like such quality time for me, you know.
It's the same for me every time. It's or when I'm doing stuff, I'm like constantly listening to, you know, informational content.
And this time I was certainly listening to something informational. I was listening to I was watching a documentary about exoplanets. And that's where the name, you can start seeing the connection now with the name Kayaking on Kepler 22b. So the whole story is the scientist on there just randomly starts talking about, context is they're talking about the Kepler Space Telescope, and they're talking about the solar systems and the planets that it has photographed. and they're numbered by, so 22 refers to the star system. That's the 22nd star system that the Kepler telescope photographed, and planet B, or the second planet from that star. So Kepler 22b is just the name of an exoplanet. And this is an exoplanet that has no continents, no land, just water, just a big old infinite ocean. And for some reason, the dude on the documentary starts talking about, I wish I knew what documentary this was, because it's so hilarious. He just randomly goes, I bet it would be so much fun to go kayaking on Kepler 22b. And I was just like, this has to be a song. I must be the one. It apparently falls on me to turn this sentence into a song.
That's a great concept, though.
Right? Because I mean, it's so ridiculous as well. Because it would suck, obviously.
It would be the worst kayaking experience of all time. You can never land. You're just stuck on an infinite ocean forever.
So I kind of thought of I wanted to make fun of that essentially, and I sat down at the piano and I just paused. I clicked pause and I stopped eating and I went over the piano and over to the piano and the song was ready in like 15 minutes from there. I was just like, yeah, it was so easy. It was almost too easy to just come up with a concept and rhyme a little bit and write some lyrics about how it's about escapism essentially. Like how lame is your life right now, and how much fun would you be having if you were out there on Kepler 22b kayaking with me instead, you know. Which would, you know, so it's like this metaphor for the Peter Pan syndrome almost a little bit, you know. It's like, oh, this is like taking responsibility and being I don't know, living a conscious life where you're doing the things you need to do to sustain yourself. It's boring. We should go kayaking on Kepler 22b.
Yeah, let's do that. That's my kind of party.
So I played this. One last fun fact: when I play this live, people usually just start singing along. And I remember before I released this, I had a request. Somebody, like I was playing this bar gig, and this was just the perfect song where everybody who was kind of in their cups already a little bit, they were sitting in the back by the bar, and almost just like you can picture them holding around each other's shoulders. And like swaying from side to side and going, kayaking on Kepler 22b. And afterward they were like, we need to, where can we listen to this? This song is amazing. So without further ado, enjoy kayaking on Kepler 22b. Catch you next week.
The buzzer wakes you at 8 o'clock. At work you meet with the same old flock. But kayaking on Kepler 22b, what fun you could have with me. You take your time when you pay the rent. To those who don't care for your consent. But kayaking on Kepler 22b, what fun you could have with me. 'Cause some folks like to raise a brow when lesser people don't take a bow. But